welcome everyone. I believe we've got everybody in the house now, and as more people join, they'll be let in. My name is Bianca Boyce, and today I have the honour of introducing and interviewing Naily Makangu, who is the ultimate boss babe of Athena Leaders. Naily, how are you feeling today?
Really excited and a little bit nervous as well. Like I was telling you earlier, I'm okay running a training course for people I don't know, it just happened. But when you have to talk about yourself, you're like, oh, but I'm super excited to be here, and I'm also ready for the celebration, so.
Amazing. Wine at the ready. I haven't got wine, so I'm going to be the sensible interviewer today. So
Yes.
you've got to drink away though. For everyone who's joined already, we have the chat box. You're obviously muted whilst we're doing the interview, but we do have the chat box open. So as we're going through and Naily's answering questions, if you have any questions that you want to ask Naily, please put them in the chat box and we will read them out at the end and answer all of the questions. I, for one, am super excited to be interviewing you today, Naily. Not only is this to celebrate your 1 year anniversary, but you have had 4 months of a pandemic in your first year in business, and you still survived. So round of applause for you, my dear, because that's absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
For those of you, like, obviously we put this out and there's loads of people joining. So just tell everyone who's joined a little bit about you and your background.
So in a nutshell, in terms of what I do now, just think of me as the Mary Poppins of business. I go into organizations to help them sort out all the challenges that they have. It could be from a project management and managing teams, really building the connection between the people. And one of the reasons why I say I'm the Mary Poppins of business is really because I believe that leadership is really important. And for business to prosper and to grow, you need to bring in an element of play, an element of fun to the people you work with. This is kind of why my tagline is to encourage people to embrace the play mindset at work. I started my life as a software engineer at Siemens Industry Software. And at the time I thought, no way I will go into leadership. For me, project managers and managers were the people who spend a lot of time playing golf when we, sit there and kind of work. And through working and also kind of developing myself through various other organizations, I realized that for whatever you want to do in an organization, you really need to be really good at leading. So I then transitioning into project management because I saw an opportunity at work. We were running super big projects. There was no project manager. Everybody was like, oh my God, it's crazy chaos. I thought I'll throw my hat in the ring and I'll do it. So that's kind of what I did. And eventually, after one thing after another, taking opportunities, left, right, center, I decided to start Athena Leaders to bring my passion for people, my passion for creating an environment where people play, have fun, and actually look forward to go to work. And so that's where I am now. And I'm super excited that despite everything and the craziness about like, oh my God, I'm starting a business. Oh, now there's a pandemic. I'm still here and still happy, and I'm glad I made it to year 1. At least I'm not part of the statistics of companies that don't make it to year 1. So
exactly.
that's one done.
Past that first hurdle.
Yeah.
Now I know it is really, really important for you, Naily, because you and I are quite similar in the fact that we're kind of person-centered leaders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know for you that you've been doing all of your marketing online and you've been showing the services that you offer for your business, but it was very important for you to reach out to your audience and let them know who the woman is behind Athena Leaders, like what the face is behind your company, because I know that's really, really key for you. Yeah. So you're really, really in for a great session today, guys, and a great interview, because you're going to be hearing about Naily's thoughts, about her heart, about why she's truly passionate about what she does and what sets her aside from the rest of the leaders in the industry that focus on business. So I know for you, Naily, that play is a massive part of your branding, right? It's everywhere. Turn your life into a playground. You've got figurines that are playing whilst they're working, and they pop up everywhere in your branding. Why is play so important to you in business?
Well, for me, first of all, as a person, I can be quite serious and allow things to be on time. But my personality, I always get pleasure from playing sports. And I've learned a lot actually in terms of discipline from playing different types of sports. Then when you look at kids, right? When you look at kids, how do kids learn? Obviously from their parents at the beginning, then they go to the nursery, but then they go to the playground. And people have this misconception, and I got quite a lot of feedback about that, that playgrounds are chaotic, is that where kids scream and everything. But let's take away that negative connotation of a playground. And to me, what a playground represents in terms of a learning for kids, it's, first of all, they learn to socialize with other kids. Imagine if you only have one child, you take them to the playground, they learn how to play with other people. So it's about communication skills that are starting to develop. And the way playground are structured, if you look at the study behind the invention actually of the playground, it's made to help kids grow. So at the beginning, young kids will probably go on certain type of slide. As they grow, they can go on monkey bars, they can go on different things. And you can see that they are learning without, for them, it's not like, oh my God, I'm sitting there and I'm learning, but they are really absorbing information. Now, when we grow up, you go to school and you go to work, all of that gets forgotten. It's all about being professional, which is really important, but we forget our own personality and what makes us us and what makes us laugh. And how would life be if you really embrace this idea of play at work, right? I mean, if I have to go to work and I know that I have a great relationship with my coworkers, I'm more likely to speak to them on their problems. I will highlight the problems much earlier because there's trust. I will look forward to going to work. It doesn't matter whether it's really, really extreme, complex or difficult environments. When you have this sense of play and this sense of belonging, people really wake up and look forward to going and work together. And I think when as well, people tend to look a lot on productivity. A company or people who play together, have a great relationship together, are more likely to be more productive. And I've seen that times and times again. And I work on teams where before me coming on board, everybody was really, really stressed because there was a lot of work. And I went in there and I introduced this aspect of play. And afterwards, you can see the difference in the people. And that's what I love about my job, is to see when people go on the other side, the amount of work might not have been reduced, right? Let me make it very clear. There's still critical environment. We still have to work really hard, but they look forward to working with me because we play during our meetings. We celebrate what we do, even if it's a small milestone. And play doesn't have to be really big. That's another misconception that people have, where you have to do something amazing. Play is really about looking for opportunity to do your work in a way that makes you happy. If you're working from home and you like dancing, hey, why not, right? If you're working with other people at work and your team are celebrating an achievement, how about having something really small? Even if you just, guys, within the organization, we're going to be in the kitchen for 10 minutes at lunchtime just to appreciate us being together. That's bringing play in the office. Play is not about mimicking having a Google office with all of those chairs, all those football and kickers and everything. It's really about the environment that you make, that people come in, can laugh, can trust each other, and can just, it's okay to come up with ideas to have fun as well. So that's really what play is for me. And I think it's really undervalued in a way, because as soon as we get to a certain age, the focus is on working hard, but we all say work hard, play hard, right? So why don't we bring this play hard in the office as well?
Yes, 100%. And I think you've made some really, really key points about why play is important. And I know for you as well, you've got a personal connection to why it's important, and you have also experienced working in environments where it's not playful. So tell me about the impact that you think it has when people work in environments that don't have any play or consideration for joy. How does that impact people? And most importantly, how has that impacted you in the past?
Yeah, so for me, I've been in environments like that where there's no play. And especially I think when I remember the first place where I went, there was no play, was when I was on my placements. I love the people I work with. They're amazing. I had great mentors and supervisors from there. But unfortunately, there was not enough work to keep me occupied throughout the day. But you still expect it to come from 9 to 5. And Monday, Tuesday, you might do some work, but the rest of the day, there's not much work to do. But you still have to be at your desk. and there was no play because you are really bored. And again, it was a very, very corporate office. People were lovely, but there was no, that aspect didn't really work. I mean, as placement students, yes, but within your team. And it's really difficult, really, because one thing I learned anyway, I learned to wake up early to study and do something fun before going to work. Because what I felt like is every day you have to wake up, you have to go in, and you feel demotivated, you feel drained, and you actually feel stressed, not by doing a lot of work, but it's just because of the way the place where you are. And the other thing I found as well, when there's no play and people are stressed, is the productivity goes down. So you can get someone who's really good at their job, or maybe they might not be that good, they're kind of early careers. When you create an environment where they can play, where they can learn, they are more eager to take more responsibility. So for me, I've seen that on both sides, in places where, my other job, the job I had after that, there was a bit more play in there, but not so much. And I just realized that if I really wanted play in my life, I have to bring it myself. I'm not going to wait for HR to do it. I'm not going to wait for my boss to do that. So I created like a tennis club in the office, and that was my play, right? So that's another message I always tell people or organization. HR is there to drive the culture, and especially the C-suite as well. It's really important. But it also falls on every single person within the teams to think about what is it that I love, and I can bring my personality in the office and share it with others. And that's really, really important, because if you feel like there's something I quite like, maybe I want to spend my lunchtime doing certain things rather than staying at my desk, you never know if there's someone out there that also wants the same thing. So if you never try to reach out, if you never try to make it public and say, hey guys, anyone wants to kind of create this playground, this area where we will talk about X, Y, Z, or where we will communicate in a certain way, you actually lose the chance on yourself as well. So for me, whenever I've gone somewhere and I felt a little bit demotivated, or there was so much stress, I always start by understanding the people, first of all, really understand how they behave, their personality, what drives them, and what they like as a human being, right? Not just as my data scientist or my engineer or whatever. Just really get to know the person, and then you drive the play from that. Yes, it's a lot of work. But if you do that much, much earlier as you're getting to know them, and if you make it part of what you do normally, is really, really effective way of motivating people. Because for me, whenever I feel like, oh, I'm really not motivated, or I'm really, really stressed, even as a business owner, the first question I ask myself is, am I still playing? Okay, now that I look at my job, am I looking at it from I'm working? Maybe I'm spending too much time doing my finances or my admin, or the things that don't really bring me joy. And if that's the case, how do I bring the joy back into my life? And how do I bring the play back into my life? And sometimes it's just as simple as, for this lunchtime, especially during the quarantine, I just put some salsa dancing, and I just dance in my living room. And then as I'm dancing, ideas are coming to me. I go to my whiteboard, I write something down, and I go back to dancing. And it's all about really channeling the energy, the play into you, and then also sharing that play with others as well.
Yes. And you know what, I think you've hit on a massive thing here for leaders. And a really good takeaway is that in order for you to insert fun into your working environment, there has to be a really deep understanding of the individual that you're working with. So I think that actually having fun as the ultimate goal and embedding it into the culture means that they have to take more of an interest in the individual in order to discover what it is that actually brings them joy and makes them happy to be at work as well. So it's a really kind of like deep dive approach to motivation as well, because actually fun is often missed off the list when you look at motivation techniques, you know. So it's a great one for the leaders to think about. Also, I know what it's like running your own business, because I've been running my own business for quite a while now as well.
Yeah,
you've hit your first year milestone in business.
Woo!
So for those people who are thinking about starting their own business, what do you wish you knew when you started your business a year ago that you didn't know?
Oh, I have to be completely honest, especially my sisters on the call. Social media, honestly, is the bane of my life. It's ironic, as all of my advertising for this event was done actually on social media. But it's really, really, really important. And I guess in terms of just, obviously I played with it a while. I had a Facebook account that I barely used. It's actually funny because my friend would create an event and then text me because they know that I barely use it. But the thing about social media, it's so much more about just what you post. Is there are a lot of layer of yourself that you have to go through depending on your personality. And there's a lot of question. For example, how do I show up on social media? Which tone of voice do I use? Okay, I want to show myself being authentic, but is that going to be okay? If I've got a playful personality and LinkedIn looks very, very serious, people in suits and everything, will that work a lot better? And the other part as well, which is really difficult for some entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs, is also being yourself and being, I would say being vulnerable, but feeling a little bit open, right? Wide open, right? So I'm a very warm person and I love getting to know people and help as much as I can, but I don't really talk about myself unless I'm with my core friends. And now suddenly you have to be on social media, and to connect with your audience, to connect with people, they have to know you the person. But if you hold back on yourself, you might not get the connection that you want. So a big part of, I think, at least the first 6 months of me building my business was building the confidence to show up authentically on social media. And then the next 6 months was, okay, now I feel a little bit more comfortable recording a video. I feel a little bit more comfortable posting something about lockdown and things like that. What is my story, and how can I share my story in the way that works for me? So I think that is something that is super important. And I will definitely advise anyone thinking about starting their own business to really look into that, and to also make sure that whatever you want to do, remain authentic to yourself, because you can try and copy the voice of anybody out there. You'll never be them. And people will see through that.
No, 100%. And I think you've hit on another few good key points I definitely want people to catch on to, is that, starting your own business, you're saying it takes a certain level of vulnerability. And it's something that people don't really think about before they go into it. There's a complete difference between having a business that's, for instance, a shoe business, because there's somewhat of a disconnect between you and the brand in that sense. You can kind of have the brand out there and, promote it in the way that you do in the retail sector. But when your business is based on services and you are in effect your brand, then it's a certain level of vulnerability that is needed, because people buy from people, not just the service. So if you're thinking of going into service business, like Naily said, there's going to be a lot of vulnerability that needs to be shown. So, okay, so whilst we're on that then, what tips would you give people in terms of the type of support they should enlist when starting their own business, especially around vulnerability and transparency online?
Well, my advice, to be honest, whenever I talk to anybody, whether it's talking about career building or anything, if you feel like there are aspects of your personality that are troubling you, find a coach or a mentor to talk about it. Sometimes we, as we go through life, we pick up a lot of baggage from different aspects of your life, and you are still you, but a part of you is also hidden within that baggage as well. So talking to a coach or a mentor will help bring out the you inside a lot more, and also help you build your confidence as well. The next one is look at yourself and look at your strengths and your weaknesses. And weaknesses, it's not a bad word. It just means that, that is not what I'm good at, right? And just be completely honest with that. When you start, when you work and you get to reach a certain level, you are awesome at what you do, and people come to you because of that. But when you start a business, look at everything that you have to do. There's no way you'll find one person that is awesome in every single aspect of running a business. So I can go to a company and sort out their struggling project, struggling organization, motivate people, get people laughing and dancing again. But social media is not me. I am learning how to be good in that, but I also acknowledge the fact that the learning curve, if I want to be an expert, is too steep. Should I focus my time on that, or should I try and find people to help me? And there are many, many ways you could do that. If you have anybody, again, the power of your social network is amazing. What I started with was calling people I knew, especially from organizations such as Junior Champion International, and I've especially when I was president of JC at Cambridge, there were so many people there that were by my side and teaching me about social media and other things. I just gave them a call and said, look, I'm doing this thing, I'm passionate about this, but I feel like I'm not good at XYZ. What do I do? They will put you in touch with other people that can come and help. The other thing was finances as well. When I first started my business, I vaguely mentioned it to my CEO at the time, the company where I was. He turned around, I kid you not, he turned around, wrote down a piece of paper, gave me the detail of his accountants, and gave me advice and details of how to put together my first contract or my first statement of works and my first agreement with a customer. And I was like, whoa, there is no way I would expect that. I thought he was going to say, oh, go to XYZ. But if I hadn't asked, then I would have spent so much time researching, how do you write a professional contract, blah, blah, blah. I had experience writing contract for my job, but not from a point of view of I own the company, because that's a different experience. And social media is the same. I had some experience posting here and there and promoting other work that I used to do in the past, but an entire campaign for an organization, the branding is not something that you can do on your own. So what I've really learned is, again, I'm really passionate about people more than entities. And I say the power of people is super, super amazing. And for me, it's always been really difficult to go and approach people for help. So I developed a mantra that I would tell myself just to have a bit of self-belief. And every time I feel like, oh, this is too hard, and I just remind myself that I'm surrounding by people who love me, who care about me, who support me, and want to see me succeed. And that's a really reminder that I tell myself every day or every week, so that I don't fall, especially I live alone, right? I don't fall in the trap of struggling alone when there's help just a phone call away.
Yes, yeah. And again, very powerful things for people to remember there. So looking at, basically both of them hit on vulnerabilities. So basically being willing to look at where you are now and being willing to ask for help, whether that's investing in a coach for yourself, whether that's reaching out to someone in your network and admitting that you don't know what you're doing and you really, really could do with some help and support. I've seen a lot of people struggle in business because they're not willing to ask for help or to admit where they have weaknesses. And it's so great to hear you speaking about the power of vulnerability in the first year of your business and just how it's helped you to move on. So I hope people really take something from that, because sometimes, you know, when you're talking to people who are running their own business, it all seems like it's glitter and gold. And we both know it's not like that. And that's why, you know, it's important to have this transparent conversation. But you're really giving people some key information to take away here, because I wish someone would have said to me before I started my business that, you know, vulnerability is going to be my biggest superpower, because if I knew that then I would have been knocking down everyone's door, you know. So amazing.
And I love what you've said about vulnerability being a superpower, and I really, really hope and I wish that vulnerability and empathy will one day become the superpower, or the superpower that leaders around the world look for, right? So if you want to be a great leader, if you want to be a great manager, that's what I actually tell everybody that I work with, whether I'm mentoring them or they're part of my team or running the team. I always try to remind them the importance of connecting with people and the importance of even telling your team, this is not my strong point. Because when you're a leader, a manager, remember that your job is not to, you might not know absolutely everything, but your job is to empower the people on your team to grow and to tell you even more information, because technically they are the expert. You're like a shepherd, guiding them along the way, making sure that they're doing the right thing, being the connection with the senior management team. And for you to really do that, you need to be vulnerable and be open and empathize with them. When they see that, they can also be vulnerable. If they're stuck or there's something that they don't know, they're more likely to approach you and say, I'm over my head here. And they won't see it as being judged or not being efficient or anything like that. They will see that as, I'm going to talk to my manager, I'm going to talk to my boss, because I know they will listen to me. Your boss that might not have the answer straight away, but creating that bridge, creating that strong relationship is what allows you to, again, grow and allows you to be more productive in the office. And at the end of the day, everybody's happier and everybody's really look forward to, you know, coming to work and do what they do best, is get paid and make money.
100%. And I think that, you know, companies do have that, don't don't they? That open door policy, but the open door policy seems to point one way. So if you guys on the ground don't know what you're doing, you can say it to us. Well, how about the leaders tell the truth when they don't know what they're doing either? Exactly. Because then you're leading by example in all aspects, aren't you? By saying, I don't know, and I'm willing for you to help me. And therefore your team will then say, I don't know, and can you help me too? And that's just a great way forward for everyone. Okay, so the other thing as well, I speak to entrepreneurs about this all the time. And I asked a question about resilience. So you have made it through a pandemic and through to your first year of business. If you were looking at it in terms of percentage-wise, what part does resilience play in relation to success?
Honestly, that's a tough question. In fact, I would say that in terms of running a business, resilience counts for 80% minimum. 80% of running your own business is about being resilient. And the reason why I said that, earlier I was talking about the fact that when you run your own business, you are the expert in what you're delivering for your clients, but you're not the expert at every single bit that you need to run a business. So if you think about that, it's a bit like being put in a car and say, oh, you don't have a driving license, don't worry, you'll get it, we'll drive from London to Glasgow, and on the way, I will teach you how to drive. And hopefully you'll make it to Glasgow, you might not, right? And that's really what running your own business is about. You have 100%. To keep growing, regardless of the negative voice in your head, the imposter syndrome, whether you're tired or not, if you don't work, you don't get paid. Whether you know something or not, you need to find a way to keep going with that thing that you don't know really well. So for example, for me, it was, I will keep going and creating a presence in social media, however badly I'm doing it at the moment, whilst I'm learning to do it much better. Once I'm learning, who do I need to hire, or do I need to work with, to partner with, to help me with that? And that takes quite a lot of energy on your own. And we also talk about things that you can't control. So for example, you wrote the best proposal, the best price, everything. You had a great connection with the potential customer. They turn around and say no. It can be a bit of a blow, especially at the beginning. But what do? You can feel bad, you might go and cry, but then you don't have a choice because you have a call coming up later on. So you need to put your brave face on, get on the call and do what you need to do. We had the pandemic, and there's days where, especially, I was like telling your friend, like 3 or 4 months, because in Madrid, you can't even go out for a walk, right? So you're at home every day. And I used to look forward to Amazon delivery men, because or women, because they're the only people I could say. Because they're the only people I could say, hey, hello, and it's literally, hello, your package, goodbye. And I was like, oh my God, a human being, but you don't have, you definitely need to learn how to process your emotion, but you need to be resilient, and you need to have a strong mindset to be able to pick yourself up day after day after day and keep going. Because it's okay to feel down, it's okay to take a week off, it's okay to take some time off to recharge, but if you let yourself slide too far, and especially don't ask for help, then that's it, game over, right? So I think resilience is super, super important. Of course, knowledge is important, but without resilience, even if you know absolutely everything about one field or a domain, your abilities to succeed and to go through the pain, the hurdles, the ups and downs, the roller coaster of running a business, the game might not be on your side.
100%. And I think that you've hit the nail on the head there, Naily, by saying resilience is 80%. And yes, that knowledge is important, but overall resilience is going to get you through, because we all know what's true today is not necessarily true tomorrow. Knowledge changes. So if you're relying on just your knowledge alone in your business, you're going to be left behind, because it's going to change. Your whole knowledge about how to run your business changed the moment we went into lockdown, as did mine, right? What do you do then? It's resilience to get through the pandemic. It isn't knowledge at all, because we don't know anything about what's going on now. We're just doing our best, right? And and we're doing well. So, So what would you say is the payoff for the building of that resilience?
That's a tough question. I think I need a courage for that.
Yeah.
Well, the payoff for resilience is pretty much, well, your business growing, right? So if you think about it, when you start running your business, and again, even with social media, when I first started, I kept on, it was really stressful. People said, oh, but you can just write in 2 or 3 hours. You can write posts for a week. And I'm like, that's what I write for one post, you know? And you keep on going. And that resilience, that perseverance helps you keep going, right? So first of all, it's about focusing on what you're doing, on the input without seeing the output. And the reward of resilience, the reward of it, keep on, you know, bashing in and keep on working, and whilst you're developing the other skills, is starting to see the output. Unfortunately, the output, you don't see it straight away. It's not, you know, it's not as fast as, you know, you build something and you see the results straight away, like writing a software, which is what I used to love when I was a software engineer. You write a piece of code, you run it, it either pass or fails. Simple. And I absolutely love that. But when you run your own business, you churn, you go there and work every single day, weeks and months. And sometimes you don't even know. And one day I even had someone just out of the blue, I kid you not, she sent me a lovely message on LinkedIn. I've never met her, didn't even know she existed. And she just said, I love what you do on LinkedIn. I'm like, whoa, actually people are watching it. And even that message was really because I thought, okay, I'm not as bad as I thought I was, or I'm making progress. But that message came after months and months and months of me having to be resilient, having to wake up every day and having to think, okay, don't worry, 2 likes is great. Now my standard is 2 likes. Oh, I've got 5 likes, yes. And then I thought, okay, I don't care about likes anymore. I'm just gonna do what I do, and I kept on moving, right? So the reward for me, the reward of resilience and keep on going, is the output and what you're going to get on the other side. As long as you don't focus, especially as a business owner, I mean, for your own, when you're working with clients, obviously output is really important, but for your own business, there are aspects of your business where you don't see the results right away. And if you only want to see the results, then you burn out much faster because you think that what you're doing has no value. And it's so ironic that I say that, because that's something I've really had to learn, because I'm the kind of person who are really energetic and I want to see what I'm doing. But the biggest learning for me, apart from, you know, things like asking for help and social media, was also focusing on the input of your work and not just the output.
100%, and that's hugely valuable to anyone wanting to start their own business. Like you said, you're showing up. You said a few things that I want to like reiterate, because in case people missed it, you said that some of the things that you've done over a period of time, you've been doing them for a long time, and then someone out of the blue comes and recognizes you. So consistency is hugely important with your business, and focusing on the input and letting go of the outcome is gold. Absolute gold, because it's not the same as working for somebody else where you do a project and you can see what's happening straight away. People do want to see you consistently show up in order to buy into your brand as well. So it's not just about creating an outcome, it's about also building that trust with your client as well, isn't it? That consistent focusing on the input. So really, really amazing. Okay, so what else? Obviously, I asked you what didn't you know, and you mentioned about social media. What else didn't you know about business that you wish someone would have told you? And I'm asking you this question again because I know there will be people on here wanting to make that transition, wanting to think, what's the worst thing that could possibly happen when you start your own business? So what else didn't you know? It could even be in terms of what you expected to happen that didn't.
I think for me, what I didn't know, or at least which I wish I knew, was approaching people and asking for help. Honestly, I've always volunteered. I mean, since I'm 17, I volunteered for so many organizations: YMCA, JCI. I was even in a central ambulance, which is ironic because I don't like blood. But I volunteered for so many organizations. And for me, giving is a big thing. But the big givers are often the people who are not really good at asking for help. And we're always like, oh my God, he's asking for help and things like that. And by the time I started my business, I was better at it, I have to say, because I had a lot of mentors and a lot of coaches and people I trusted. But the second part of asking for help, the second leap, was asking for help especially reaching out to people you don't know or you don't have that connection with.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really scary because you've never met that person. You might have gone to one networking event, they might have said something, but I'm doing research on a topic and I could spend a lot of time reading everything on social media, reading everything, all the good articles, or like they say, that 30 minutes conversation with someone is worth gold. And one thing I really learned, and it took me a while, is just realizing that pick up the phone or text someone else. There's a lot of people in my circle, especially coming from JCI background as well, that they are now entrepreneurs, which means that there is a pool of people who are at my level, and there's also a pool of people who are much higher than me. So what I do now, I just ask them for help. And the second aspect as well, one thing I started doing recently as well, whenever I want to research a subject, I don't do it on my own. So when I wanted to find out a little bit more about diversity and inclusion and everything that was going on so that I can help my customers, I went on my LinkedIn and I spoke to a lovely woman who sat me through and listened to my ideas and everything I was, and gave me some pointers and other things that I didn't even think about, consider. And we went in a discussion, in a little bit of a debate actually, and I felt like that 1 hour that I spoke to that woman would have taken me at least a week to learn, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing that, sometimes asking for help is really scary. And this is scary because of rejection, right? So we're always scared of being rejected, or saying no to, or of troubling other people. And in fact, I've actually developed a really small challenge now to get over rejection. But for me, whenever I'm working on something at the moment, or I have ideas of what I want to do in the future, it could be for my business or creating systems. And that's another thing I'm looking into, systemizing my business. And I thought someone mentioned someone to me and said, oh, he's the expert in Cambridge. And I know the guy, but I haven't spoken to him in years. It's someone I admired, and I was also in one of the volunteering groups with, but I felt like, oh my God, should I just text him and ask him for a favor? But I haven't spoken to him in at least 4 years or so. So I thought, okay, well, you go into my book of rejection challenge. If you say no, well, I've got my challenge done. And I sent him a message. And the guy was like, yep, fine. An hour call. And I was like, oh my God, again, same thing. The amount of things I've learned from talking to him would have taken me long time, which tool to use, which tool to avoid. All of that is only through my experience. So why make mistakes when someone else has gone there before me? Always ask for help, and just handle the rejection that comes with that. It's fine. For if you ask 5 people or 10 people, there will be one person that will turn around and says yes. And for me, 100%. 1 out of 10 is enough.
And I think a rejection challenge sounds great. Can you tell us a little bit more about this challenge in case anyone else wants to do it? Because I think a rejection challenge is a great for everyone. So what are you doing? So
disclaimer, I can't take credit for that. It came from a YouTube video that I think one of my sisters sent to me. The idea, I think it was a TED Talk even. The guy who started it, anyone is interested, I can try and find the link again. But what he did was wanted to get over rejection. So he used to go around and ask for random stuff. And he went even further than I did. He was asking for things where people will say no, right? So you go to a restaurant and ask for a free dinner. Who asks for free dinners, right? But he will say no. And then he will go home and says, okay, that's challenge done. Then he thought, okay, so if you have no, what is the next question after no to continue the conversation? So he wanted to improve his sales techniques, right? So when people say no, what to say afterward? And he realized that if you say no and people say why, eventually you start talking again. So he used that as a second step. He went into a restaurant and he asked he bought a burger, finished. Then he went back, I think it was like McDonald's or something, and he asked for a burger refill. Now, people know about drinks refill or tea refill, but you never had a burger refill, right? Yeah. So he asked for that and they say no, and he says, why? Rather than, people looking at him weirdly, they also feel, well, why don't we do that, right? So at least they did say no eventually, obviously at the end, but at least he had something to continue that conversation. And I thought, wow, I watched that TED Talk and I thought, that's amazing, because for me, again, it's my personality, right? I love competition and things like that. How about I create my own version of a rejection challenge? So I've got a notebook. Whenever there's something that I want to ask or I want to do and I'm worried that someone will say no, or maybe I approach a potential customer, I'm like, oh no, I don't think that this is going to, they will say yes. I just wrote it down. and say, oh, today I'm going to email so-and-so and ask about XYZ. And if they say yes, I'm like, great. And today, customer turned me down on the proposal. I'm going to ask them why, or I'm going to ask them to actually, why is no problem for me? For me, it was, you ask for a referral to someone who turned you down, right? Ironically. But they turned me down for a certain reason, but he was really appreciative of my work and what I was, my personality and stuff. And I'm like, okay, if you like that, it doesn't, whether he refers me in the future or not, that's not the point. The point is I asked, right? Because normally I wouldn't ask. So he went into my rejection challenge. And every time I look around and I think, oh, I need to approach someone on LinkedIn, or I need to send a prospective email or something, or anything that's outside of my comfort zone. And even just recording my anniversary video, because I was like, oh, I can't really tell people it's my anniversary. It's very personal to me. I'm going to record a video. But if I do that, I will struggle to look professional, because I just want to say like, oh, yes, but exactly. I don't really want to say that because it's not LinkedIn. And I put in a rejection challenge and says, if people don't like it, I've done it, right? I did what makes me feel happy. And that's what I'm going to show the world. If they don't like it, they reject me, that's fine. I've done it. Yeah. So that's been really, really good for me over the last few months. Just to, because he moves away the mental aspects of, should I do this? Should I not do this? What would happen? All that noise goes. The focus is on, okay, my list is growing. I mean, getting to 100 is a lot of work, right? So I want to try and do so many small things to get to 100. So that's in a nutshell, that's my rejection challenge.
Amazing. And just to point out as well, like obviously your anniversary video is one of the things in your rejection challenge. It just happens to be the post of all of your posts for the whole year that's got the most engagement. So how ironic is that,
Exactly.
You push against the fear, and normally the thing you fear the most is the most amazing thing, right?
Exactly.
So absolutely fantastic. Okay.
Yeah. Hold on, Bianca, just on that as well. For those who want to find out about the rejection channel, check the chats. Kathy and Chloe have put the links, and Lavender as well, the links on that on the chat as well. So if you can just grab it from there.
Yeah. I'm going to also check just to see if there's any questions in here for you. So I can see a few things going on. Oh, Sarah's put a lovely quote in there. We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. Yes,
exactly.
Indeed. Yeah. And then someone said, just the thought of the challenge makes their palms sweaty. LOL, it's so hard. No, it is so hard. But actually, when you come to the other side of it, it's completely different.
Yeah.
So anyone got any questions, you can type them in now as well. Obviously, Naily's been amazing. I'm going to do a quick fire with you, Naily.
Sure.
As well, a few questions. So your best achievement?
Athena Leaders. I think
Athena.
Starting it when I did. I think, I don't even know whether it's starting Athena Leaders or if it's just quitting my job without a plan and eventually starting the company. I think just getting to there, regardless of what's going to happen in the future, for me, that's, great.
Yeah. Quitting your job without a plan, I would say mega. Absolutely mega. Okay, beach or mountains?
Mountains. Beach for half a day or one day, but that's it. I can't sit still.
You're not like me, sitting on the beach, ploughing myself with alcohol all day. And you're...
No, I mean, unless if they've got like kayaking or things like that. So you kind of sit there for a little bit and then you go surfing or kayaking and come back. But just to sit there, you're like, whoa, are we just sitting here?
Okay, worst habit?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Well, I think that's a good one. Your biggest fear?
Snakes. My biggest fear is snakes. From a business point of view, my biggest fear is failing my company.
Yeah. Would you say that regret is a bigger fear than failing for you, though?
To be honest, a while back, years ago, I decided I will live without regrets. And the way I do that is by fighting regrets, by forgiving myself. Because I don't know everything. I will never know everything. And sometimes it's frustrating when you're in a situation that says, oh, if I had done this differently, things would have happened. So for example, I spend money contracting people to do some work, but they didn't do what I expected the experience was and what I thought it was going to be. And I sit there thinking, oh my God, I wish I hadn't spent that money. Yes, could be looked at regrets. So what I do when that happens, I've got my notebook and I write down what is it I've learned and how do I do it differently. So now I've got a set of questions that I'll be asking people, which, you know, whether they like it or not, I want the certain confidence based on my own quality metrics and what I'm looking for when working with people. So I think I try to stay away from regrets, because at the end of the day, although it's sometimes difficult, I have to acknowledge the fact that I am human. I'm going to make mistakes. And if you're going to have to regret things, regretting things every single day, like regretting the last piece of chocolate or something.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And I guess that's another good tip to like throw out there as well, is that although you can kind of trust yourself in business, it's really important to make sure you're dealing with people that actually you do your due diligence on them and know what they're doing, because not everyone's the same with us. I know we've both been through loads of things when it comes to business and people not meeting up to what they said they're going to do, but it's all part and parcel, isn't it? So another good tip, give yourself a contingency fund for people doing poor work for your business, because that would be good in the first year. Okay, you've got some questions coming through. Was there any positive aspects in terms of growing your business during the pandemic, and were people more open to change?
That's a great question. And to be honest, despite all the emotional things that come with the pandemic and all the craziness, in fact, like someone was saying, it's a bit like living in 2020, it's a bit like living in Jumanji. You never know who's rolling the dice, and we are seeing the effects right now. But the best silver lining for me in my business is the fact that people have embraced remote working. Yeah, that is super cool, because when I set up my business last year, I wanted to have a sabbatical in Madrid in September, because I can't stand the heat, ironically. But in between, because it was around June that I quit my last job, I already started my company, and I eventually went to Madrid. My biggest fear or my biggest concern was, how do you maintain your customer base, and how do you keep on networking when most of your customers and people you know are in Cambridge, London, and in the UK, because we're in another part of the world. And I went back home, but again, like I've told you before, for me, I have to be accountable to what I do tell other people. And for me, Athena Leaders, I want to play as I grow my business. I don't want to grow my business and play later. No, together. And my biggest play was, I want to learn Spanish, so I want to spend more time in Madrid. But then the fear was still in the back of my head. I signed the check, I committed, but the fear was still there. The change with the pandemic is suddenly everybody's gone online. So whenever I wanted to meet someone or network, I didn't have to worry about telling them I might not come to the office. It's really good for me as well, because you don't have to travel from Cambridge to London all the time, right? You do it online. So people are more aligned to this idea of doing things online, and it's becoming natural. The second big thing as well is working with customers. Likewise, it was ironic where even when I was in Cambridge working with my customer in London, I wasn't even going there every single day, but you still have to be in one place. And eventually they did allow me to work from Madrid and come back, which was amazing for them. Oh, miss them. But anyway, it was great. But now, I mean, people kind of expect that, and you can hear a lot of stories about big company going remote, which is, more market for me. And also other things like networking meetings or just meeting with potential customers. If you have to think about having to travel to potential customer every single time, it costs quite a bit of money, because traveling to London is expensive, and also your time door to door for a 1 hour meeting, you spend a good 2-3 hours, right? But now when it's online, you don't even have to do much. You don't have to find your best heels or whatever. Top part done, great. Go on the call, talk with the customer, and then after that, you can quickly move on to something else. So silver lining of the pandemic was really, really about the fact that people have embraced remote working. And I just had to continue with that, because I wanted my business to be remote anyway. So it means like, 100%. I don't have to fight against the wave. I will go it's a lot easier to go with the flow now.
Yes, exactly. And you don't have to get like, you're kind of now preaching to the converted, right? So you don't have to
exactly.
It's cost effective. Now it's just about letting them know there is a way to work remotely and do it well. and there's a way to do it poorly, and obviously if they want to do it well, then they'll do it with you. So
yeah, and it's
amazing.
actually interesting because someone asked me if I wanted to give a talk, a potential talk in the future for their members, a part of the organization. And I spoke to them and said, yeah, that'd be great. This is how the talk will be. And then, although it's not now, it's potentially towards the end of the year or early next year, the next question that came back, would you be willing to do that remotely? And
yes. Yeah.
Even better, because then I don't have to schedule flying back home or doing this or that. And yeah, I'm like, however you want it. If you want me face to face, that's great. But if you want it remotely, and one other thing that they're saying as well is if they run the training calls remotely, then it reduces cost on their side. They don't have to book a big venue. They don't have to do the catering. The amount of work that they themselves, organization, has to do goes down quite significantly. So good.
Of course.
I win. Great. Everybody
exactly. Yeah. And I think you've got one more question in here as well. Can you share techniques for better understanding people when leading a new team?
Yeah, I think for anyone who doesn't really know much about personality types, profiling, whichever tool you want, there are so many out there. Feel free. Shameless plug, I'm an authorized partner of Everything Disc. So if you're interested in finding out your personality profile, I can do that with you. The reason why I say it's important, if you can do that for yourself, first of all, you understand how you react to people. Then do that for your team as well, so that you understand how they behave. Then the most important thing, because that's one mistake I see, some people will run their profile and then that's it. Yeah, I'm a D, I'm a red, I'm whatever. Good, I'm glad you know that. But then how are you using that information, right? So how are you changing or adapting your behavior? If you're working with a team and you know who you are, tell them that for me, especially when I'm stressed and I ask you for something, I prefer having a summary than having a long 3 pages document, because I don't have the time to read it. I'm running around all the every single places. Tell them how you work, but also more importantly, understand who they are. So if you understand and they tell you how they are and they say that for me to make a decision, I'm more comfortable if I get a little bit more time, then you as a leader, you can start factoring that into your meeting. So if you have a meeting or a question, send them an email or a text or something in advance. Give them even 10, 15 minutes for their thoughts to formulate in their brain, so that when you discuss them or you go into a brainstorming session, they have something to contribute. And it's not like, okay, I have to think on the spot, because not everybody have the same level of creativity. Their strength may be something else, and they might be really, really good on about what they're doing. But when you put them on the spot, then it's a little bit difficult. The second aspect of that is to change your one-to-one. At least have, that's one thing I do. I try to have at least one in a month. One-to-one will be about anything but work. So I can just go to a coffee shop and have a coffee and just have a chat. Some people are not comfortable, but the more you get to know them on a one-to-one basis, and you do it the way they want to do it, right? So don't do it, oh, I only like pubs, I'm going to go to the pub. Right now, if you want to go somewhere else, I'm happy to do that. So go into their world and listen to what they say. And that will really, really allow you to build a relationship. And once you really understand your people, you really build that trust and connection, then it makes everything else much easier. Of course, you still need to have good management techniques, right? Like I said, if you don't have good management techniques, but you got good leadership, nothing gets done. The other way around as well. So how do you structure your meeting so people know when they come to a meeting to review? It's not a meeting about planning a meeting, it's a meeting that's going to be effective. How do you structure the team? How do you discuss, talk with them, get feedback? And from one thing I say very quickly though, from a leader's perspective, one thing that annoys me is that leaders don't get enough feedback. Leaders get feedback from the wrong people, no offense, because most leaders or most managers will get feedback from their managers. The higher you go in the company, that higher managers spend less time with you as a person anyway, as a manager, but they get feedback. But the people who spend time with you day to day are actually your team. So if you look at the way we structure giving feedback to people, it's always top down. But how about getting your team, the people you're managing to give you feedback, and the people on your same level, different department, giving you feedback as well. And I think if you really want to grow as a leader, and that's something I've done throughout my life as a software engineer, I knew that my boss and feedback wasn't this strong point. So I told him, here's the list of people I work with. Can you go and speak to them, get an anonymous feedback, and then you gave it to me. you know. And it was great because then I found the things about myself that I didn't know, and things about other people giving me suggestion. Oh, okay, your code is really good, but read about this will improve you. I'm like, oh my God, great. I've learned about it because people told me. So I think if you want to grow as a leader, be open to receiving feedback, be open to learning about your style, adapting your style, and really go and get to know your people. You know, that is the number one, I would say, my secret sauce to why I do what I do really well, is because I don't care about how much time it will take. For me, when I look at someone, I look at them, I'm like, I'm going to break you. Before you know it, we're best friends, one way or another. And I take my time, but I know I'm going to get to the point where even if you're the person who never talks to anyone, you look forward to saying hi to me because I know what is it that you really, really like.
100%. I think that's like a really, really good method as well that aligns with your understanding of coaching, where you're seeking to understand always before you're understood. So for anyone who's a new leader, that's a great tip, so they can get a personality profile done, they can get a profile done for their team, or simply holding one-to-one meetings in their team members' space and holding a meeting that is purely for the purpose of getting feedback is fantastic. So you've got couple of free and a couple of non-free options there for them, which is fantastic. Okay, someone else has made a comment in here. Very good rule to practice, they've said. They learn in a workplace is that when you conduct one-to-ones or open team spaces for feedback, it's good to listen, to understand, and not to talk back. 100%. 100%. That's exactly what you're saying as well. So we're coming to the last 3 minutes now, Naily.
Yes.
Back over to you. You've done absolutely amazing. I think you've given some really good gems to everyone here today. Like really informative, really honest, really open. Anyone listening who wanted to get to know the woman behind Athena Leaders, I think we've got a great account of who you are and what you believe in today. But I'll leave the closing words to you. Anything you want to say to close off the last few minutes?
First of all, thank you, all of you, for turning up, and people on live on Facebook, and all of you for watching the replay on on YouTube. It feels really good, and I'm excited to be here, and I just to be able to share my story, because it's not something I do. Ironically, when I have to go to a client or I have to present or something like that, I'm usually nervous maybe 2 hours before. But when it comes to talking about myself, I've been nervous all week. I'm like, I don't even have to rehearse for this, right? It's not rehearsing, but I'm more nervous. So thank you so much for your time and for turning up. If anyone wants to work with me, the word is coaching, or just understanding, like I say, your personality types, I do profile. I'm a authorized DIX partner. Reach out to me and I can run your profile, and I will also throw in a kind of a consultation call with you, so that we can work through your profile, because the importance of knowing your profile is not about putting yourself in a box. It's not about stereotyping people, but it's about understanding how do I use this information to make myself better. So if you want to do that, then please get in touch with me. I'll do that. And I'm also excited to be working with organizations. If you wanted talks in your company for however topic you want, if you wanted me to work with you, even if it's from an advisory or come in and hands-on, it could be on management or project management, or just getting your team to feel energized and gel again, get in touch with me, and we'll be able to sort you out.
100%. And so what's the best way for people to contact you, Naily? You want to give your details?
Yes. Emails by naily@athenaleaders.com. You can go on my website, actually. There's also a form there. But if you can't remember any of this, then find me on LinkedIn, send me a message. I'm really responsive on LinkedIn, and then we just take it from there as well.
Amazing. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you for getting me on as well to talk to you about it. It's been great to be a part of your celebration. I'm so excited for what you've got to come, to make it for your first year. I keep on saying it, 4 months of that being a pandemic is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
You.
That alone, you've got like a wealth of knowledge to share with people, and it's a testament to your resilience.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Bianca. And cheers to everybody out there. And thanks for supporting me. I think I need a top up as well anyway. So good timing.
Have a great week, everyone. And we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.